What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So the truth, undefeated, unified, WBC, IBF, welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Errol the True Spence Jr. is back training as his trainer, legendary trainer, trainer of the year, now trainer of two unified boxers. Derrick James has stated that immediately following his fight with his fighter, now unified WBC, IBF, WBA, IBO, Ring Magazine, Lineal, Junior Middleweight World Champion Superstar Boxer Jamel Lions Only Charlo. He said after his fight this past Saturday, that was a pay-per-view event, he says that he's going back to work with the truth, Errol Spence Jr., to prepare him for his November 21st showdown against two-division world champion, former junior welterweight world champion, former WBC welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia, November 21st. So everybody was wondering, and everybody, was inquiring, and, their interest and, their curiosity is through the roof, because everybody want to see how Errol Spence Jr. returns after suffering that horrific car accident October 10th, just 12 days after, unifying the belts against two-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Shawn Porter, September 28th. So just 12 days later, he suffered a horrific car accident that people don't even know if they didn't feel like he would even bounce back to come back to the sport, let alone know how he's going to return. So there's a lot of curiosity when it comes to Errol Spence, and everybody can't wait to see how he comes back. And people were starting to worry when they heard that he hadn't started sparring yet. He hadn't started having contact yet. So everybody started to worry, and they started to question, can he be back? And there's a lot of people doubting him, and that's why a lot of people are currently picking Danny Swift Garcia to beat Errol the True Spence Jr., right? And so, that's odd, because on normal circumstances, Errol Spence Jr. would be the runaway favorite against Danny Garcia. And this is no slight to Danny Garcia. Obviously, Danny Garcia is a heck of a fighter. He's a two-time, two-division world champion. So we already know that he's definitely a world-class fighter. But, people doubt Errol Spence because they don't know what they're going to get, right? Is there any lingering injuries from the car accident? Is there any lingering effects mentally from the car accident, right? Is he going to be the same? Errol Spence has tapped into his past. He brought back his strength and condition coach, Blu-ray. Errol Spence said that he's rededicated himself and reacclimated himself to the sport of boxing. He says that he let it get away from him for a little while in between fights. He would let himself balloon up in weight. He would let himself, he would have to go to camp, and it would have to be weight loss camps, right? He wasn't truly 1,000% focusing on strategy and the game plan, because he had to focus on losing weight, because he was, enjoying himself, celebrating too much for all his accomplishments. Now he says that he's rededicated, reacclimated himself to the sport of boxing, because he understands this is what award him the lifestyle that he lives, right? And he has a lot of people to take care of. He says it was a wake-up call for him in his car accident. It was kind of a blessing in disguise. And a lot of people feel like, Errol Spence Jr., is a walking miracle, to say the least. A lot of people feel like Errol Spence Jr. is a walking miracle, right? So with that said, yesterday was Monday, and Derrick James said that Errol Spence would be back sparring on Monday. And he was true to his word. As you see, Errol Spence with two sparring partners, and Errol Spence, looking good, looking in shape. He's looking like the Errol Spence of old, right? He's looking in great shape, as you see these pictures right here of Errol Spence Jr. and two of his sparring partners, right? So Errol Spence looks like he's in great shape. You see him right there. You see him right there, right? He looks in great shape. He looks in fantastic shape, right? He looks like the Errol Spence of old. Not that he didn't before. It's hard to see a difference, because Errol Spence dominates in most of his fights. Well, in all of his fights, right? He dominates. So he's not in real close fights. The Kell Brook fight was pretty competitive while it lasted. Then Errol Spence started to break Kell Brook down. And he took Kell Brook. He stopped Kell Brook. He got him up out of there. Won his IBF title. First title opportunity. Did it so in the UK, in hostile environment, right? So it's hard to say and distinguish whether Errol Spence ever looked, out of shape, right? You can't see that. Only Errol Spence knows that. So he says that, he was out of shape in the Mikey Garcia fight. He said he was out of shape for the Sean Porter fight. And if that's out of shape for the way he won those fights, right? Well, the Sean Porter fight was close as well. I said the Kell Brook fight was only close, but the Sean Porter fight was close as well. He dropped Sean Porter in the 11th round. Then he clearly won the 12th round. So he won the championship round. So I missed the Sean Porter fight was definitely close as well, right? But for the most part, Errol Spence dominates in his fight. So it's very difficult to distinguish whether he was in shape or out of shape, right? So if that was an in-shape Errol Spence that beat Mikey Garcia every single round, and was able to withstand the mental pressure and the physical pressure that Sean Porter applies to all his opponents. Can you imagine what you're going to get versus Danny Garcia? I'm picking Errol Spence to win a unanimous decision victory, and I'm expecting him to win 8 rounds to 4, right? Maybe 9 rounds to 3. I'm expecting Errol Spence to have a showcase fight in this fight with Danny Swift Garcia. And again, this is no slight to Danny Garcia. I just think that Errol Spence has more tools in the toolbox to be able to showcase his talents to the highest level, and it'd be a showcase fight for Errol Spence, right? I think, oddly enough, this is a coming out fight for Errol Spence. And I know people are going to say, hey, Blue, how could this be a coming out fight? Because with this level of opponent, Errol Spence is absolutely going to put on a show. He's absolutely going to put on a show. I believe that he's absolutely going to put on a show in this fight. Because he is in a whole different mind frame, a whole different mental space. And that's scary to see Errol Spence be able to ratchet it up to another level. So we see Errol Spence with his 2 sparring partners, in shape, sweating, working, grinding. His motto, man down. I love Danny Garcia. I love what Danny Garcia does for the sport of boxing. I love his approach to the sport of boxing. He's never out of shape, right? You never see him struggling to make weight. He did the later half of his career in the junior welterweight division, but I think he just physically outgrew the 140-pound division, right? He's a very solid, muscular guy, Danny Garcia. So I just think that he just physically outgrew the 140-pound division. But with that said, I think that he just doesn't have the skill set to keep up with Errol Spence. Now, Danny Garcia has a lot of power in both hands. Danny Garcia has great timing, right? But Errol Spence has all of that and some. He has the ability to box from the outside, which we saw Danny Garcia struggle with that form of boxing with Showtime's Sean Porter, right? He has the ability, to move around the ring, but he also has the ability to fight you in the pocket. And he has the power to break you down physically. And he, too, puts mental pressure on you, that being Errol Spence, right? So I can't wait to see how this fight unfolds. But I'm highly expecting Errol Spence to be victorious. And this is great news to see Errol Spence back in the gym, back sparring. November 21st, we got a great one coming. Make sure y'all support it. But that's all I got for y'all. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hit, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.